Yeah, I'm here to talk about career opportunities for the youths. I have crisscrossed employment and self-employment. Well, I've never been unemployed because even before I finished my youth service, I got several jobs, and I don't have a father as Abraham. I don't have a mother as Sarah. It was just understanding that we are graced. Now, what I mean by that is that when you understand that there's nothing called luck, there's something called grace. Now, grace means that Jesus has died, and he has said all things are good for us because of his death. We are made rich because he died. If that is true, that means it is a continuous. In fact, in the scriptures, you see, more like present continuous. By his stripes, we are healed every time, every generation, and all those. We are, you know, he was made poor that we might be rich. So I understand those. Now, my story is very simple. I had poliomyelitis. Poliomyelitis is a kind of childhood disease that disables your lower limbs and you cannot walk. It attacks your spinal cord and column, and then you cannot walk. And today, for many decades now, I went through orthopedic surgery, 7 orthopedic surgeries as a little boy of about 7 or thereabout 8. And since then, I've been working with crutches and calipers. Calipers are the rods, irons are wear as braces on my legs, and crutches are the ones I hold in my hands. You know about them. So now, growing up was very difficult. And I thought, in fact, by age 6, had become perfectly suicidal, and everything was so bad. I thank God for my family, the support. My mom, my dad, my siblings, they were very supportive. But the truth is, every single day of my life, I wanted to commit suicide because we were not rich, and then the environment wasn't good at all. But you see, at the time, I found out one important thing. That thing became something that has helped me all my life. It becomes a kind of pivot where everything around my life hinges. And if you wouldn't mind, I'll spell it for you. Value. Value. It may sound cliche, but you see, great things in life are not always too psychedelic. Great things in life are very simple. That is why you see great founders of religions, they didn't come in very big shining armor. They didn't come with, they were a lot of them were not born in the houses of kings, and those who were born, they later left, those comforts and all those. Even when you look at people like Moses, had to still go into the bush and to go into exile and stay. So great things of life are not always psychedelic. They don't always sound sexy and sound cool. They're always very simple, and then you keep wondering. So growing up was very difficult, and I found that if I can be valuable, yes, everything will change. So in school, I was the best student from primary one, not because I'm intelligent, but because I found out that if you are disciplined, if you can work more than others, you will do better than them. Even if you have somebody who is naturally endowed, a genius, who is not working hard, who is not, and you hear people say, don't talk about working hard, talk about working smart. That is stupid and rubbish. You can never work smart if you've not worked hard enough to generate the algorithm for working smart. Algorithm is a model process for solving a problem. For you to work smart, you would have generated, and you have worked hard enough to generate an algorithm for working smart. Okay. So now, growing up, I found out that if I can always do things that people want to buy, that people love, I can always, be paid for that. So in school, I read more than every other of my mates. Why? Because I know they have their legs, they can do more, but you see, I have only one thing, that's my brain. If I'm able to develop it, I could stand where they can stand with their legs. Why I may not be, I may be sitting down, but I may be taller than them because my legs are going to be augmented by my brain. So I started working on my brain, and I read more than my mates. I, studied more than them. And when my brothers are playing, I'm reading. When my mates are playing, I'm reading. When my sisters are playing, I'm reading, because I know that that's the only thing I can compete with. At a particular time, I found that there's nothing you can talk about that I don't know anything about. And, I started finding that learning and earning are coterminous and probably from the same etymology. And I started knowing, while if you learn more than others and you are learning positively and you are learning pragmatically, you will earn more than others. I'm not talking about professors in the university. They learn general skills, they learn general things, the history of computer. And no, you don't do that. I have a program going on in my organization now. It's called Champions. Champions stands for Champion Teenagers. Within a day, my children, all of them, I mean, the kids who came for the program, they all learn public speaking. They all learn how to design website. They all learn how to start building apps. They all learn how to design graphics. Yes, because you see, education and schooling, they are different things. Schooling is what we did to have PhDs, and education is what we or how we use what we know. That is why you see people who are very, very schooled but they're not educated, and see people who are educated but they're not schooled and they make more money. Go to area market, go to don't know the market around you there. Go to those markets. You will see people who can buy the whole life of those who say they are teachers or they are professors or they are. This is not an insult. The point is that because they are educated, they are doing more. Salary can never be enough. But back to our discussion about value, I started understanding that if I can give value, I will always, yeah, be ahead. So I started finding what are the values I can give. And I found out that, since I cannot run around, I can sit down and do something. So in class, I was beating my classmates, but I found out that I needed to do more. So what do I need to do? They are playing football, so they are playing football, I cannot play. So can I find a way of actually playing that football? I thought hard and deep about it, and I bought football. So when I'm coming to school, I come with the football. I think they had what we call felele at that time. You people may be younger, so you don't understand, or you may not. I don't know what you'll be calling it now. Felele is the rubber one. When you play it, it's just be going like this. But bladder is the one when you play the one they use in professional football. When you play it, it goes the way you play. It's always difficult to push and play. So when I come with it, so at the end, when it is time for what do you call it, break, they'll come to me and they want me to come out, because if I don't come out, my ball will not come out. I can make some incredible what do you call it, request from them. I can say, I want to eat ice cream, I want you to carry me, or I want you, whatever, and they will try to comply with that because they want my value. Now I want you to write this down. Value is the back end of the front end of money. Value is the back end of the front end of money. If I was sharing my screen now, I would have shown you what, when we say back end, I would have shown you what it means, like the dashboard, or I'll show you how coding looks like and all those you see. Now, the point being made is that whatever you see as money, please, I'm not talking about politicians. I'm not talking about those funny, I don't want to use the S word. They've made our youth to think that, making money is one stupid thing about just killing people and having hold of government purse, and then you are dishing it how you want it without, bringing value. If you make money without putting value, you are either a beggar, because a beggar asks you for something, for money, not thinking that he or she should give you a value commensurate. Either you're a beggar, or um, you are obtained by trick. You said you had that thing, I gave you money and you couldn't provide it. Or you are an outright robber. You put a gun on somebody's head and say, oh, give me your phone, or give me the money. So you are a criminal. So you don't make money without putting in value. That's why Africa is underdeveloped. Okay, Africa is underdeveloped because a lot of people make money without putting the commensurate value in. Yeah, for you to make money anywhere in the world, you have to put the commensurate value. In fact, most times um, you put in like 1 million naira worth of effort, and you make 258,000. I'm not talking about physical effort. I'm not talking about carrying load. I'm talking about the strategic effort. I'm a high performance thinking and strategic execution coach, meaning that I help people to think differently and find the shortest route to their destination. So I'm not, when I'm saying effort or hard work, I'm not talking purely in form of brawn. Yes, your physical power and might. No, I'm talking also in form of strategic, thinking, strategic execution, high performance thinking, and thinking differently, and all those. Now back to our discussion. I took you from value to football to. So when I go to that point where I'm able to offer value to the extent that I can also play in the field without playing with my legs. I can control those who play in the field. And it started dawning on me that value is everything. So I've said it that all the money you see in front, but value is the back end, okay? All the things you see as money, cars, and everything, value and hard work is at the back end. So value is the back end of the front end of money. And I started applying it in everything I do in life. Enough of talking about myself. Now, one of the myths around how people understand money making is that they think that money making is difficult. Money making is not difficult. In fact, being poor is more difficult than being rich. Why? Because in being poor, you're going to neglect your voice, your hand, your intellect. Your Think of anybody that is wealthy. Yeah, around you. You think of people who are musicians. They use only their voice. Think of people who are writers, they use their hands. People who are coders, and people who are business people, they use one or two parts of their body. So, and you have uncountable parts. Yes, internal and external. You have the spiritual, you have the physical, you have the. So it is more difficult to be poor than to be rich, because in being poor you're going to neglect and not improve all of your faculties and other. Now get it right. I'm not saying that being poor is a constant state. By me, being poor is not being able to know that you can still push and make it. By being poor, you have relaxed and said, "I'm no more trying. I've taken my own fortune like this until somebody come and help me." But if at every point, whether you are 50, 60, 70, if at every point you are pushing through, you what where you are going is very vivid. You have clarity, and then you are moving towards that. You are not poor. You are on the process of getting where you are going. And I will always say the process is even more important than the end result, than the product. So we talked about value, and in understanding career opportunities, you need to understand where value is going and where value is shifting. So sometimes we always think that God brought us here to do a particular thing. Well, whatever is your belief, I don't want to tamper with that. But the major thing is that you know there are three areas God wants you to do things here on earth. Number one is what God called you to do for Him. We call it ministry. Okay, what God called you to do for Him. And then what God called you, ministry, we don't mean opening a church, but finding out what He's called you to do for Him. So that's what you do that will follow you to heaven. That's what we call ministry. Um, okay. Now the second one is what He called you to do for yourself, or what He wants you to do for yourself, what He brought you here to do for yourself. We call it business. Now, by business, I don't mean buying and selling. No, those things that concerns you solely. For instance, I have a wife. I wanted to marry. If I wanted to marry white people, I would have done that. If I wanted to marry short people, I would have done it. If I wanted to marry tall people, I would have done that, and all those kinds of things. Okay, that's your business. I was a lecturer at Imo State University, and then I felt I'm through with this, and then I even as a lecturer, I had Cussons Business School, Cussons Consulting Solutions Limited, and quite other companies. And then I went to face the what I'm doing, and then I went on to to go in full into what I'm doing. Even in school, I studied first degree, second degree, and PhD in philosophy, and I decided I want to do more. And I went to study information and communication technology at Catholic University of Louvain. I want to study management at Master's School of Management. I went to study something on practical philosophy. I want to study project management. So that's my business. If I decided not to study them, God will not come and flog me. God will allow me because that's what I've chosen. He won't come and start disturbing me. Yeah. So your business is what you have chosen to do with your life. If you want to write book, God will not stop you. If you want to, yeah, become a coder, God will not programmer. God will not stop you. If you decide you want to be a web designer, God will not stop you. If you decide you want to resign from your job now and face something, God will not stop you. If you want to divorce your wife, God will not stop you. If you want to divorce your husband, God will not stop you. If you decide you don't want to marry, God will not stop you. So we need to understand all these things so that we don't come and ascribe to God what God has left us to do for ourselves. You are not, you're not, you're not patronizing God because He's already big. You are what you are doing is aligned with His principles and rules. So what He called you to do for yourself, we call it business. Who you marry, who the city. So when I got tired, I established a company in Abuja, and then over time relocated my family, relocated myself to Abuja. Yeah, I don't want to live abroad. I have offers everywhere in the world to come as a lecturer, to do one or two, but I don't like abroad, so I decided to be here. Maybe if I was abroad, maybe better for me. If I'm here, maybe if I'm abroad, I would have died. Maybe if I was abroad, I would have been richer. Whatever. But this is what I chose. I don't like going in another man's country to stay. I feel like when I go to another man's country to stay, please, this is my opinion. I feel like if dad, whose house is whose there's football match and your television is not good, okay, your television is not good, and then you do what? You go to a neighbor's house to watch television while your children are in your own house struggling with that television that is not good. That's how I feel. I'm not saying that is that is what it is. That's how I feel about it. I feel like leaving my country, going to live yeah, I travel every time, but you see, I feel like it's not worth it to go and stay in another man's country. And I have friends and I have relatives who are in their 50s now, and a lot of them are regretting that this abroad they came to. They don't even know whether it's a blessing, whether it's a curse. One was talking to me few days ago. The kids are becoming older. He's in his 50s. I said, I don't know this abroad, whether it's a curse or it's a blessing, because these children as they're growing, you're finding out that probably they're not turning out how you would have wanted them to turn out, well, yeah, whatever. So that's their own opinion. That's their business. But mine is my business. Having said that, ladies and gentlemen, business is your what God brought you here to do for yourself is called business. Don't mistake your business, or rather, um, make don't use business and confuse ministry, or use ministry and confuse business. Don't want to say much because I think this you should be in this program is holding in a church. Okay, so let me not go there. But the third one is what God brought you here to do for others. We call it um, charity. Charity is the reason I'm doing this video. The least courses in my companies are in millions. Like in my business school, the least my mentorship program, the least is about 15 point something million. That is about $10,000. So, but I am doing this because I know, yes, some people would need this who may probably not have capacity to afford what I'm selling. So I have to understand that it's not all about money, money, money. I have to find out sometimes that I should give free. Yeah. So that becomes charity. Charity is what you are intentionally doing to make sure that humanity becomes better by virtue of your existence here on the earthly plane. Immediately you understand that, you can understand the ministry, which is what God brought you here to do for Him. You understand charity, rather business, what God brought you here to do for yourself, and you understand charity, what God brought you here to do for others. Now, having said that, ladies and gentlemen, taking that away, that the people who will think, oh, God has just brought me here to just be this and that, yeah. Now, you may not actually, be right. God brought you here to actually do the things in these three areas according to your environment, your experiences, your education, and your exposure, which we call 4E, in psychology. Your experiences, your environment, your exposure, your education. These are the things that will decide what you're going to do, and that's why you're going to choose them properly. Having said that, too, in choosing your career, there are things I always talk about. I talk about AARM. AARM. A stands for aptitude. Aptitude. Aptitude is your natural propensity for something. What do you have natural propensity to do? For me, my natural propensity is in advising people. In fact, a lot of people became, as a little boy, a lot of people were not coming to me because they think I give too much advice. They don't like coming close to me. There was a time I wasn't living in Abuja. I got to Abuja and one of our friends met me with my wife and she said, this yoga gave me too much wahala. My wife said, what did he do? And he said, in school, I was that he was in third year when Dr. Kali was in first year. But he had some family members in his class and girlfriends and all those in his class. So over time, he became friends with me by virtue of that relationship. And along the line, that he found that every time he sees me, I'll ask him a question that is always killing to him. I'll just ask him. Let's assume his name is David. I'll say, David, what are you doing with your life now? After we have greeted, I'll say, David, what are you doing with your life now? And so that's used to give him so much trouble. Why? Because that's he wasn't doing much with his life. So every time I ask him that question, it's like I'm bringing a knife into his heart. It's very much like the question his mom would ask him if the mom was around. So that he started avoiding me because he doesn't want wahala. What are you doing with your life? Are you my mother? Are you my so we laughed that day because I didn't know. But you see, that's my aptitude. Then your natural propensity, the things you can do easily. I love advising. I love talking. Yeah, not talking like just telling stories or whatever. I love giving advice. I love solving problems and all those kinds of things. So these are the things I've turned into business in my life. We have companies that are helping organized private sector individuals, high net worth individuals, helping governments, helping NGOs, helping all kinds, so religious organizations to maximize, optimize, their capacities in all areas. Yeah, from business school to ICT to management consulting firm to all those to real estate. So I love thinking and building things. Yeah, I love advising. So I've built businesses around all those things that I love. So that's aptitude. Yeah. Now we have the second thing I mentioned, AARM. The A is different. The next A is different. Then the RM are together. The next A is what we call. I've talked about aptitude. The second A is what we call aspiration. Now, trying to find where opportunities exist for you. Because I don't want to come and start telling you, go to IT, go to management, I will be imposing my own biases on that. You may want to be a priest. That's genuine. That is good. That's what you want to do. So for me to now tell you, go to IT because I have an IT company, or go to because there's AI, or go to this one or that, I don't think that's my job here. My job is to be able to, in fact, success is about mindset, to be able to clear your mindset, to make you think differently, so that it's easier for you anytime you want to do something, you know where you are going. I think my time is up, so I'm going to just wind down here. I think I've talked for about 20 something minutes. Yeah, so now the next A after aptitude is aspiration. Okay, you can be a good talker. Yeah, what do you want to do with that capacity to talk? Do you want to become a pastor, an imam? Do you want to become a politician? Do you want to become a public speaker? Do you want to become a coach? Whatever you want to be with that is genuine, it's good, it's okay. But it has to be your decision. So your aptitude must what? Must align with your aspiration. For me, I don't like seeing blood. I would have been a medical doctor, but I don't like seeing blood. So because of that, I didn't go into medicine. For me, I don't like counting people's money. I don't like also counting even physical money. So because of that, I could have been a very powerful accountant, but I didn't. One, my father did everything, encouraging me to do accounting because of my physical challenge. I could sit down and still, make something out of my life. I didn't want it. I love talking. I love advising. I love whatever that I'm doing at the moment. So I love building things. So now, nobody could have given me a chance as a disabled person. So when I talk about entrepreneurship, but that's what I love. I love entrepreneurship. So that's my aspiration. So all those qualities I have, I turn them into entrepreneurship and make them entrepreneurial. That is aspiration. So what are your aptitudes, and how can I want you to list down 10 of your aptitudes and then list down about 5 of your aspirations and see how you can match your aptitudes to those aspirations. Yes. So you are very good in critical thinking, you are very good in strategic execution, you are very good in interior design, you are very good in speaking, you are very good in motivation, you are very good in writing, you are very good. So if you list them all out and then you try to say, what do I want to be? I want to be this, and that. Now check all the take an arrow, draw them to all those aspirations. I see which of these aptitudes meet those aspirations. If they're not meeting your aspiration and your aptitudes are not aligning, so you need to do something about it. Now I've talked about aspiration, I've talked about aptitude, I've talked about aspiration. So the third thing there, the RM, realities of the market. So because you have this aptitude and then you have this aspiration, doesn't mean that the market will accept it. So you must understand the realities of the market. You understand the market wants to have value, and then you find out how to productize. Now, this will lead me to a very other thing. I'm the president of a business school, so my forte is business, apart from IT management and all the things I do. And then, but my forte is business. So you must now start understanding business. How do I, what I call the prosperity algorithms, offer? How do I make an offer from this? In other words, how do I productize this particular thing? Whether it's you love you want to be you have aptitude for counseling or mentoring or whatever. How do you want to be a mentor, a coach? How do you now productize it in a way that people can buy? People don't buy grammar. People buy what you have to offer, what your problem, what your solution can do to their problems. So the first thing there, what I call the 6-step prosperity algorithms in business and life. Number one is offer. Understand that you have to have something you are selling. You have to make an offer that people will either accept or reject. Yeah. Number two, you have to understand where offers stop, and then leads start, lead generation start. Yes. Here today, I'm advising you and trying to talk. I'm talking for free. But you see, to bring me to an organization like this to talk is 10,000 US dollars. But the guy who is doing David has been my staff, worked for me. And because of that, I'm offering this free. But for Shell, for Ministry of Finance, for Dangote Group and all those, they can't bring me in to talk for an hour without paying $10,000 for accommodation and first class and every other thing. So the point becomes for 1 hour, the point becomes you need to package it in such a way that it becomes an offer. That doesn't mean you can't give it for free, but you must know that this is what you are selling and you're able to, offer it. Yeah. Then the second thing, or rather, I've talked about offer. Then the second thing becomes lead generation. Now, from what you've said, I can talk, I can mentor, I can. Now, if I don't start telling you, will you want to buy and all this, if I don't start positioning myself, none of you here will say, I can buy. So you need to now start generating leads. Leads is marketing. Marketing is what you do to position your products, services, and platform in places where the people who are willing and able to buy can see it, and being able to convince them with your strategy that you are the best plug for them, whether they are organizations, whether they are institutions, whether they are organized private sector, whether they are businesses, whether they are NGOs, whether they are ministries, departments, and agencies of government, whatever they are, your ability to start making, positioning your what you are selling in such a way that they can know that you are the best plug for them. Okay? Now, you can already see when you have an offer, you need to create the lead. You need to generate leads. Those who know you have this, and those who know you are selling it, and those who know you are selling it better than any other person. Yes. Now, after offer lead generation, the next thing is sales. You must know where offer starts and stop. You will know where marketing starts and stop. You will know where. So if you generate leads, you need to do what now? You need to find a way to make sure that the leads you've generated, that they start buying from you. You need to reach them. You need to talk to them. If I was to be in this program physically, probably my assistant will collect your phone numbers, or I will put up a particular link so that you can fill a form, so that if you want to be receiving my messages, or if you want to be receiving my newsletter or something, you can just start, having those values come to you. And when those start coming, yeah, that becomes my kind of marketing. Now I now start saying, I want to sell to you. That is now, at that point, I'm pushing to make you buy something from me. So after offer, you have lead generation, which is marketing. After lead generation or leads, you have what we call sales. This is where you are a little aggressive to make sure that you convince people to buy from you. Don't be like a Jessica. Why you are not going to be salesy or start pursuing people around in such a way that you reset them, but you be in their faces, making sure that you remind them. If anybody shows interest, that's become an engaged lead. You are able to pursue, because the only reason the person showed interest was because the person has a need that you can solve. After that, so we have offer, we have leads, we have sales. Now you create a system, number four, a system that will manage these things for you. Because if it's just you doing it haphazardly, yeah, you will not always get the result. Because sometimes you are tired, sometimes you are sick, sometimes you are distracted, sometimes you are depressed, sometimes whatever. So you won't get the results every time. So that's why you need to start understanding, what can I do to make sure that these things are done in a very beautiful, powerful way, that whether I am there or not, it can work. So that's why you need systems. So systems are the things that help you um, work on something in an easier way. I don't want to speak big grammar around it, because I'm not very sure of the audience. Now, but you see, systems, very simple. The word SYSTEM can it can be an acronym. Save yourself stress, time, energy, money. So anything you put in place that saves you stress, time, energy, and money becomes your system. So it becomes easier for you to actually work around it and use it. Having said that, ladies and gentlemen, so when you've had an offer, you've created leads, you've sold, then create a system around it. You need to automate that system. That is where IT comes in. And one beautiful thing about IT is anybody can do it. My major, first, second, and third degrees up to PhD is philosophy. But you see, today I have an IT company. I am an IT person myself, and work for a lot of money ministries, department, and agencies, private organizations. As I'm looking on my table here on my bed, I can there's a job to digitize an organization. Yes, and more than 1,000 plus workers and all this. Yeah, the point becomes, IT is so flexible that anybody can do it. So you can do it. So you automate. That's number five. And number six, you do what? You scale. So at every point, there is deeper. There's somebody higher than you. There's the organization higher than you. There are more people you can, work for and work with. So always, scale, and all those in your business. That way, everything will be going better and better. Having said that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to stop here because I think I've done up to 30 minutes already. I want to appreciate you for listening in. You can check online Kali Cussons or Dr. Kali Cussons. Kali is Cally, Kali, and Cussons, Cussons, Kali Cussons. So You can consume my you can be my friend on TikTok or YouTube, every social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and then you can always reach out to me.